Hello. Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today I thought we'd talk about something a bit more deeper, and by deeper I mean social media. So I thought in today's podcast we could talk about social media and how it's not always like what you see is what you get. I feel like social media is one of those things where it's a lot is faked, and a lot of things are people prefer to hide things on it, and it's easy to just pretend you're someone else. I feel like a lot of influencers and a lot of celebrities and stuff like that are really good at it, and they've got everyone fooled, you know. But I feel like for some younger viewers that can be quite deceiving and quite bad, especially if that's what they're growing up with. I know when I was growing up, I found it really hard seeing the models with all their edited pictures, or the Kardashians and stuff like that, because they were the beauty standard, and they've always been the beauty standard for my age group really growing up. It's always been one of them. If it wasn't Kim, it was her younger sisters. So in a sense it's kind of crazy how in my opinion how we made them big for being completely fake and not authentically themselves. But I feel like social media has kind of allowed them to do that, because that's technically what it's for. If everyone was just themselves, and I feel like if everyone was just showing what they actually get up to, everything unfiltered, it just wouldn't be the same. I feel like it's completely social media really is for making you look good. That's just really what it is used for. I wouldn't say that's probably the best use of it, but it is kind of the most common use of it. Again, popular apps like Instagram, Snapchat, everything you can get filters, everything you can hide. If you don't like the way you look, you can edit it. It's kind of scary. So today we're going to be talking about social media. So bringing it back to when I was younger, I feel like Instagram was a big impact on my generation. And growing up, everyone had an Instagram account, and everyone would post pictures of themselves out or at parties, or dolled up, any chance they could get to make themselves look better than what they were posting it. And I know, because I fell victim to that. Genuinely, some of the stuff that I used to post on Instagram was the most cringe-worthy stuff ever. I genuinely, if I needed a cringe compilation, my Instagram account, my Instagram archived is an absolute graveyard of just complete carnage. Genuinely, it is some of the most shocking, embarrassing stuff ever. But it genuinely was because I was trying to not be me. I was completely just always trying to be someone else, or just trying to make myself look better. And I feel like growing up I had to learn that the only time I'm gonna be the best version of myself is just by being me. It's pointless trying to be someone else, or trying I feel like it's completely different from the last podcast that we talked about with following trends and stuff like that, because following a trend is completely different from completely changing who you are. It's almost like you can shapeshift on social media. It's really quite scary. I feel like a lot of people have the same opinion as me on that, and I just feel like filters and stuff like that weren't invented. And I completely get it is for confidence boosts, and for people use them to make themselves feel better about themselves. But at the end of the day, if you're constantly looking at yourself with a filter on, you're gonna start to lose the image of yourself, and start to you're just gonna want to always look like that, and always trying to achieve an unrealistic kind of beauty standard. And that's what I find so crazy about it all. It's we're all searching for something that just isn't really realistic. And I suppose you can get you could say that for a lot of things, but it's kind of the main thing about social media is trying to reach this unrealistic beauty standard. Again, growing up I really struggled with being myself, and just trying to just authentically come across as me, because I really struggled in high school, and I really struggled with meeting people and finding friends and just kind of stuff like that. And I always wondered why. And for a long time I didn't know what was wrong and what was up. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago I got diagnosed with autism. And I got told I had loads of other things that I got diagnosed with too, and it was really hard hitting, and it was really it really impacted me, because it was it was almost like I had a silver lining because I knew what was actually wrong and I had a reason behind it, but it was still kind of like, you know, a bit of a kick in the teeth. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago when I actually got told that, where I was actually like, you know what, like, why are we using filters? Like, why am I trying to be someone I'm not? And ever since then, I've just authentically been myself, and I feel like that's what I like want to do. I really enjoy just being myself and just trying to prove to people that like you can just be you and just say what you want to say and be unfiltered, and you will find friends and you will get a social media following from just being yourself. And it doesn't matter about having like how many followers you have. It doesn't matter about how many people like your photos. It's just about having fun and just like enjoying yourself. And I feel like that's one big part of social media that's missed out. It's just the fun. I feel like there's a lot of on social media, there's a lot of bullying, a lot of trolling, and a lot of online hate. Especially when I was younger, that was like the thing. Like everyone was always hating. Like when like kind of on like any social media that they could get, they were hating on it, you know, like it's crazy. And the hate mainly comes like stems from people that like don't like themselves. And it was crazy to learn that, because it's like, well, why bother, you know, like why bother bringing someone else down when you yourself already feel like rubbish? Like, why don't you just like do something about yourself to make yourself better, so you don't have to bring someone else down to your level, you know? And I've never really understood why people do that, but I kind of, as you grow up, you kind of understand why, because, you know, it's actually them that is affected by it, you know, like it's like they're the ones that are actually like the ones that are struggling, which is a horrible thing to do and bring someone else down. I genuinely have never stood for bullying, and I don't think I ever like can, especially online. I think you can really ruin someone and it will stick with them for life, and it's one of those things where it's like, social media is a main cause of like bullying. So today we're going to talk about more of the negative side of things and how social media has affected me. This is going to be a bit of a more deeper episode, and I feel like it's needed to get to know me as a person more, because I want to be as authentic as I can and just share as much as I can, and maybe even help people. If I could help anyone, that's my goal, and just share a message across. That's kind of like the aim. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. So like I said, growing up, social media really did affect me. It was all about trying to look good, gain Instagram followers. I remember being so, being like 15, 16, so stuck on likes, thinking, how many likes am I post getting? Like, you know, like thinking about people like in your class, like, oh, why are they not liking it? Like, do they, like, and it's so, as someone who's dealt with mental health, it makes you overthink things. Like, I don't know if anyone else overthought, like, oh, why didn't they like my picture? Maybe they don't like me, or like you know, and it's just something that people don't need. It's not like necessary. I feel like social media should be one of those things where you post it just to have fun. That's why I feel like Instagram dumps and just like stuff like that, like when people post funny videos and funny photos and stuff like that of their day, and just like actual videos of them, you know, like what they actually get up to. Nothing that's like superficial, and nothing that's edited or faked is always the realest and the best stuff to look at. And I feel like that is why the kind of like popularity for influencers is kind of like, I'd say, decreasing, because people are they're not seeing the actual a genuine person. They're just seeing some project that people have put together, and just like something that they're faking because they're becoming someone that they're not. Like, I feel like a lot of influencers do that, where they start off and they're like completely themselves, and then as like they get fame or they start building a following, they just become something they're completely not, and like they go completely like unrelatable. And that's something that I wish social media didn't do. I wish they kept with their more relatable content, because the more relatable content that there is, the more people that will relate to it, and the more people that they'll like it, you know? Like, I prefer watching a video where I can relate to someone and I can be like, you know what, they have the exact same experience as me, rather than someone in a crazy restaurant with like all this designer gear where they're like talking about like their famous rapper boyfriend, or like, you know, like stuff like that. It's just, there's no need for it. Like, I'm happy for them and like completely understand that like they've built their lives like that, but I wish they were more grateful and more humble, rather than like acting as if they were made of money the whole time, you know? Because you need to always remember where they started. And I feel like, again, that's one thing that influencers have always kind of like they struggled with, and that's why they're kind of like, I'd say like on the decline, like, of popularity. So I feel like is completely opinion based as well with what I'm saying. So if you disagree or you know, like, I would love to know you guys' opinions on like influencers and whether you agree with what I'm saying and you think like you would rather an influencer being completely authentically themselves and stick to being more relatable rather than like this, like it's kind of like they live these lives that are of luxury that are so unobtainable for like the more like everyday person, you know. It's like, live your best life, but also I wouldn't like cram it down your viewers' throats and then, you know, kind of throw it back in their face when it was actually them that got you where you were. It's just kind of like, humble yourself a little bit. So that's my opinion on that, but let me know if you disagree or let me know if you agree. So another thing that kind of like bothers me about influencers is like how they'll get sent a PR package or they'll get an ad through or like a sponsorship from a company and then they won't even use the product or try the brand or like read into the business, and they'll just like promote it just for the pay. I think that's crazy. It's like you're promoting these crazy products to such a small young fan base, and they're spending their money or like maybe not even having money, so they're asking their parents to buy them it. And half the time you always see the reviews of people on TikTok coming back and being like, don't buy this, like it doesn't work, and then you just find out that they haven't even used it. I think that's one thing about social media that's so crazy and so scary, but nowadays they're getting caught out and then it's just becoming even more like a scandal. It's like they're getting caught in their own lies. It's kind of scary what people would do for money. So that's one thing that I really don't agree with, and that's on influencers promoting products that they've never even used. I think it's wild. Honestly, that's one thing I do think is wild. It's like, how can you say this is like the best thing you've ever used or like your favorite like product and you've never even used it? Like, what? Or they're like, oh, I got sent this, so I'm going to put more in a giveaway. And it's just like, you know, you've never even tried it. You don't know if it's going to be good. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I love seeing the videos of the influencers that get sent it and they say like, oh, this is an ad, but like, I'm still going to give you my opinion. And those are the kind of TikTokers and the Instagram, the YouTubers and stuff like that I watch and I'm genuinely like engrossed in, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great, because it just shows you actually how real they are and how like authentic they are, and how much they aren't just, they're humble, you know, like they know that their viewers are what makes them them. You should want to help people and promote good things, you know, and like how to help people rather than like, no, I'm just saying help at this point, like genuinely, like dead ass. But you should, like, that's point blank period, like you should want to do better for your fans, because that's who got you where you are today. You know, that's who buys you all your designer bags and your fucking flights to fucking Dubai, you know, like these people are what pays your fucking wage. All keeping it real, editing pictures I think is like one of those things where you're brought up to think you need to edit your photos, like you'll never be good enough. Like you see all those airbrushed ones of models or, you know, your favourite celebrities and artists, and they're all faked, like they're all edited. And then you even find out, because like technology these days, you're able to see the picture before. Like Getty Images is like the most crazy thing ever, because like they'll post something on Instagram, you go on that and you see what they actually look like, and it's like night and day. Like they don't even look like that, and I feel like that's so damaging to like generations that look up to them, you know. And I genuinely, because I've been there and I've looked up to these celebrities and I've thought, wow, like I want to look like that. And you know, like the things, like some people will go to like crazy lengths, especially like teenagers, to want to be their celebrities, and I just think it's absolutely wild that people will do that, and allow their fan base to want to like, you know, like look like them when they don't even look like that. It's wild. But like at the end of the day, like I feel like editing photos is always going to be about, like, you're always going to get someone that's editing it or using a filter, and if they just came clean and they said like this has been slightly edited, then fair enough. But it's the lying, and it's that, I think that's the dangerous part of it, is when they're lying and saying that they've not edited it when it actually is clearly edited, or maybe not even clearly edited. Maybe they've done it so well, they've got a team of, like, you know, they put thousands into it to get a good team of editors that can edit something to make them look really good. I think that's what's dangerous. I think like when I was younger, I genuinely have edited my pictures because I've wanted to look different. Like I've been like, oh, like that doesn't look good enough in that, so I've edited it. But it was never like good editing in a way of like where you wouldn't notice it. It was kind of in the sense of like it's very noticeable, you know. And I've always kind of like wanted to post without editing anything. I haven't done that for so long now. It's kind of one of those things where it's just kind of like, it was a younger thing because I felt like I needed to, because I wanted to be different. And now I would rather not. I feel like then there's such a difference between maybe like airbrushing a few flaws and then actually altering what your body looks like and completely like making your body look thinner. I feel like if you've got a big insecurity and maybe like you've got like acne and that's what you're trying to hide, because I remember I've done that a couple times. Like, I've been made to believe that having acne was like a bad thing and like you don't want to post any pictures with your spots showing and stuff like that. And to be fair, nowadays I genuinely could not care. Like, I honestly just feel like they're gonna see you like face to face at one point anyway, like, so they're gonna know what you look like. And I feel like that's one thing that we celebrities are getting caught out, and it's just the way they just don't care. Like, they just be like, well, you know, they still do it, and it's like, well, we know you don't look like that, so why continue to like alter the way your body looks? It's crazy. I would rather not post at all than post my body and alter it and then have a complete huge fan base wanting to like, you know, like go on all these crazy diets and stuff like that just to look like me, or take all these crazy pills to like fake something that I don't even naturally have. And obviously growing up struggling with my mental health and dealing with like undiagnosed autism, I was really naive to it. And I think that's one thing that I really wish I could go back and tell my younger self, was like, you should be happy with the way you are, and you know, you should be. And I'm so proud of myself for being different and being out there and just doing what I wanted to do, because now I actually don't know where I got the confidence back then to do it all. And I just feel like I was so busy trying to, you know, just be like the beauty standard, and just to try and like impress people, and just trying to like edit photos of myself just so people wouldn't see spots. I think that's crazy. Like, I think that's so wild now, and I just wish I just didn't. Like, I wish I just was me, you know. But I think that was the part of growing up where you need to just learn, and it was a good learning curve, realising that I don't need to edit my photos anymore on social media, and I don't need to completely change who I was for people to like me. And I did gain friends from just being myself. And you know what? Like, I gained better friends from just being myself. I feel like that if I could get that message across to anyone who's struggling with their identity and struggling with who they are, it's just completely be yourself. And I'm telling you, you will find people who appreciate you, and you will find, you know, you will eventually just grow to like love yourself. And self-love just comes from completely within. And it's completely, again, you fake it till you make it. I completely faked it till I made it. Like, I really deal with social anxiety and stuff like that, and I find it really hard to like communicate with people and speak to people, and I even find it hard to even like, you know, like just interact with people on a day-to-day basis. And like, obviously having autism, like, I have a lot of things that people find as an easy task. I genuinely like struggle with it, and I'm unable to do it on my own. So in times where I should be doing something independently on my own, I'd need to take someone with me, or I need to do something with someone. And I used to be so embarrassed about that. But now I'm not. Now I just want to be open and just like be myself, and just like, you know, and the people that like genuinely appreciate that and care about you will be there for you, and will stick by you no matter what. No matter how many like spots you've got, or how many, like, if your like legs are a bit like thinner than usual, or bigger than usual, it doesn't matter. Like, you just should be happy with who you are. You shouldn't need to change yourself for anyone. You should always just want to be you, and that's the most important part. The next thing I'm going to talk about is social media hate. I've always received hate comments, troll comments, even when I genuinely had like in high school, where I'd only have like a couple hundred Instagram followers, or even on Snapchat. I feel like social media again is like the number one place for bullying, and it's such a dangerous place, but it can also be so good and filled with such good content. I wouldn't be where I was today without social media. I genuinely feel like social media has helped me gain confidence and helped me just kind of like learn different things about myself too. Watching influencers that are really authentic, like themselves, and genuinely just real, and kind of just share advice on how they got better. Maybe they dealt with their mental health when they were like for a while, and they still are, and they just kind of give you coping mechanisms and stuff like that. I think that's great, and I feel like that's a brilliant way. But hate is a big part that I really struggled with. And you know, if I could give anyone advice who's getting trolled, or bad comments, or just like people at their school like being negative to them, it would just be like, you know what, fuck them. Like, completely be yourself always. Just, do you know what, just if they want to come at you for doing something, just come back 10 times harder. Like, it just completely just blow them out the park, because like there's nothing else, like there's not really much they can do, you know, like apart from just, and I know that's easier said than done, because it really did affect me. It's brought me to breaking point numerous times, but now it's just kind of like water off a duck's back. Again, I feel like that helps, like being older and growing up helps with that. And eventually just learn, like, you know, I am what I am, you know, and there's no changing that. Another thing I want to touch on about social media is social media addiction, and how addicted it can be, and how it can just kind of like engross you in for like so many hours a day. I feel like if someone checked my screen time on my phone, it would actually be like, I genuinely hate looking at it. Like, looking at my screen time and it shows you all the different apps and like, you know, the hours you've been on it is crazy. Like, I honestly, like, it shocks me every time. TikTok's a good one for something that you just end up just sitting there scrolling through, and you end up there. It's like one of those things where it's like time passes so fast when you're just sat watching TikTok, and you know, before you know it, it's like, wow, like an hour later, and you're like, wow, like I've only watched like, you know, how many videos. And I think it's just because they're so short. It's such short clips that you don't realise, and you're just like, you know, watching them like just by habit. It's just so easy to just get lost in swiping and just like sit there for hours and hours and hours and just get like completely just engrossed in it. So I feel like social media addiction is one of those things where it's like, I've completely been addicted to social media at one point. I've always had to go on it, you know, I'm constantly checking if I've been messaged by my friends and stuff like that. And it was a big part of me where I just wanted to kind of enjoy life without always feeling like I had to take a picture of something, like having a food in a restaurant. I didn't always want to take, you know, I don't always feel like I have to take a picture of it, but I always do, you know, because I'm always like, oh, that looks so good, you know, and I feel like my friends will appreciate seeing it. And again, that's just about having fun on it and stuff like that, so I didn't put too much thought into it. But it wasn't until I started seeing my screen time, and I was just kind of like, wow, like, I really am just on my phone, like, all the time. So I feel like social media is great, but it's also like, you need to kind of get back into reality as well. Like, you always have to remember that, you know, you have a life to live, and like, you have like so many different things and so many opportunities out there that you don't always just have to sat at home on your phone. Like, you go out, you know, go out a walk, touch some grass. You know, I think I had to do that a couple of times just to get down to reality again, because, you know, it's so easy to just sit there and watch. It's the same with like playing games. Like you can sit on your PlayStation or like Xbox and just play loads of video games the whole day, then go on social media on your phone, and it's just like crazy amounts of screen time. That's just so, like, you know, it's just, you kind of lose yourself, and it's all about like just finding you. And that's one thing that I had to realise to kind of find myself, was to kind of come off of social media and gain who I was and who I wanted to kind of be, before I kind of did that again, before I kind of was like, you know what, you're right, like, I don't need to do this, I don't need to post all this, I don't need to show everyone everything I do. And it's the same with like concerts and stuff like that. Like, a lot of people always like spend time on their phones filming the whole gig. I've been there, I've done that, and I've genuinely got so many videos that I've never even watched again. I don't know if anyone else listens back, because it's literally just me shouting over like my favourite like band that I've went to go see. Like, I don't know why I film when I'm screaming over them like the whole time. It's absolutely pointless, and I'll never watch those videos again. I don't know what it is. It's like, I feel like I need to video it because I'm having such a good time. But, you know, sometimes one thing I've started doing is maybe just like videoing for like a couple seconds of like a favourite song, and then that's it. Taking a couple photos, and then that's it. Phones away, enjoying the rest of the gig. And that was genuinely some of my favourite gigs have been from just doing stuff like that. And just enjoying who you're there with, and just kind of just trying to like, just kind of interact with, like, you know, and just remember that you've got other outlets other than just like your phone, you know, like you can make friends, or like, you know, just enjoy it. Like, enjoy it. You probably paid like so much money for that ticket, so just enjoy the gig whilst you're there, instead of just trying to take videos of it so you can remember it. Another big thing that about social media that people just kind of forget about is kind of like the lack of privacy of some influencers and stuff like that. Like, some people can be like crazy obsessed with them and just like follow like everything they do, and like, you know, follow them around. I think it's crazy. Like, I've heard a few people, like, when they hear like celebrities or that like coming like to like their like for a gig or something like that, and it's like they get followed. Like, people go to their hotel rooms and stuff like that. And I understand, like, you know, you idolize them and you think that person's great and you really want to meet them, but at the end of the day, like, you have to remember that that is a person, you know, like they are, you know, they're no better than like you. They really are still human, and they're still a real human being. And I think some people need to respect that more. I also don't agree with like press and how they get so deep into people's lives and they find out some horrible things, and it's horrible because it can ruin some really great people. Like there's so many celebrities that have been completely destroyed through social media and through press and through just completely just getting absolutely rinsed and like just rinsed in the media. It's wild. It's completely crazy. So, you know, just at the end of, if you want to give your like an influencer or like a celebrity a hard time, just remember that they are a person with feelings. I do feel like it is good for some celebrities to keep things private, because if not, then, you know, like, you know, the press might ruin them. It's crazy. Or they'll make up lies, or yeah, like people sending messages about celebrities that they know to kind of just like drag them down, and I just think that's crazy. Honestly, I think that's kind of like, it's sick. It's kind of, it's sad. So just remember that they are still people too. I do feel like some of them do have it coming to them with some of the stuff that they do, but most of them are, you know, some of them are actually good people, and you have to remember that they have their own privacy and their own private lives that they'd like to keep away from sharing on the internet, because not everyone just wants to kind of like bombard you with like their lives. Fair enough. Like, honestly, shout out to like the daily vloggers who like literally post everything. I don't, like, genuinely, like, they have no privacy and they just share everything. Completely each to their own with what they post on this on the internet. It's just up to them. I do think, like, I personally, like, thinking about that, I don't know how I'd feel about showing someone every single thing I do, because obviously, like I said, like, I do really struggle with my mental health, and I sometimes, like, I even struggle to get up in the morning and stuff like that, and I just kind of want to make that clear, because I don't want people to look at me and, you know, think that I'm something I'm not. Again, I really want to be authentic with everyone and just share that not everything you see on social media is real. And that was the whole point of the podcast today. It was just to kind of like remind people that this, like, social media is fake and it's not all real. It's the same with like reality TV shows and stuff like that. Like, some of them are getting dragged, and you have to remember, like, those producers on that TV screen are editing it so that it can make that person look bad or make that person look good. So I feel like a lot of reality TV shows aren't as reality TV as you think as well. Like, you know, like, a lot, like, everything's directed, everything has a script, and most things are like faked, and so you can't just be tearing down that individual just because they're on TV, you know. Like, the producers will like possibly even be like editing things to make them look like a bad person or to make them look good. Just like I said, like, it's completely what will get people to watch and what will entice viewers in. Whether that be completely dragging someone and making them look horrible is one thing, but, like, you know, that was up to them to go on it at the end of the day. So it's kind of their choice, but I still don't feel like they deserve to be completely torn to like shreds just because of like the way someone's edited a clip of them on TV. I've never agreed with that either. That's another thing that I genuinely think is crazy about social media. That I'm roasting. I'm sweating, man. I've probably got sweat patches right now. Sorry if I got sweat patches, guys. Do you know what? I've actually got sweat on my ass. So, talking about social media being fake, I think, isn't it crazy that they've got those, like, accounts where it's just, like, you know, those, like, Twitter pages and that where they just spread fake news? I've always been, like, and they're always the ones to get all the retweets being, like, oh my god, like, look at, like, oh my god, this is about them, or, like, you know, it's always about, like, someone cheating on their wife or their husband, or, like, you know, like, something happening to them, and it's always just, like, spreading fake news about a celebrity. I just think it's crazy. Even this TikTok accounts are, like, people, like, where celebrities can, like, message them to, like, tell them other things about other celebrities, like, really, like, sneakily and stuff like that. I think that's so, like, it's kind of crazy, like, as a celeb, they're like, you know what I'm gonna do, message this TikTok account, and just, like, and it's, like, they put, like, oh, I seen, like, Nicki Minaj done one, and it was, like, people were wondering whether, like, that was her that done that, or, like, she's messaged this, like, TikTok account, and it was, like, this most, like, it was, like, a riddle, and then people were always wondering, like, what does this mean, like, what's she trying to say, like, you know, like, what's she getting at, and I just think that's so kind of, like, I think that's kind of, like, it's kind of cool at the same time. It's, like, you know, they're kind of grassing each other up, do you know what I mean? They're, like, you know, oh, I know what I'm gonna do, send, like, a riddle, and try and hope people, like, click on and, like, catch on to who it's about. So crazy, wild. There was something actually good that I'm going to speak on, and it's something TikTok that I've just recently watched. I remember watching it last night thinking, this is brilliant, and it's Hopecore. search hopecore, and I'm telling you, it will give you a new meaning to life. Like, I'm honestly, like, it completely gave me a completely new meaning to life. I remember seeing some videos, and these are like the most wholesome videos ever, and it's just it's great. It's brilliant. So if you ever just feel like you need to see just what's good in the world, hopecore on TikTok, because the amount of compilations there is ridiculous, and I'm telling you, like, it will just fill you with complete happiness. It's great. I love it. That's my favourite type of core. It's brilliant. Gypsy Rose, if you talk about her, like, I feel like her presence has been kind of like, her presence on social media has been pretty crazy recently. Like, everyone was so, like, hyped for her getting out, and then now everyone's seen her interviews and they're like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? Like, you know how she was kind of like the weird kind of like thing that her mum done to her, like that she's doing to her now, like, man, kind of sus. Don't really know if I should speak on that. But yeah, she's like, it's kind of sus, and like, you know, that's one of those things where it's kind of like speculated that something could be going on, and like, you know, but I have no idea. I'm happy that she's out, to be fair. Like, hope she's doing okay. Hope she's okay soon. Like, slay. Hope she's living her best life. Like, hope the D is fire. Honestly, so glad the D is fire. So, TikTok lives. Let's, like, what happened? Like, I feel like TikTok went through, like, such a wholesome phase of, like, dancing videos and, like, kind of Vine, similar things to Vine. Like, I remember that kind of being, like, the next kind of, like, app that was kind of similar to Vine. And now suddenly everyone's on a TikTok live, like, genuinely, like, videoing themselves do everything, like, eating, like, out and clubbing, like, do anything, walking the streets. They're on lives and they're getting money and people are gifting them. First off, I would love to know who's gifting these people. Like, who's genuinely gifting these people who, you know, are doing nothing apart from just, like, or, like, you know, the ones that I love is, like, the ones where they're like, thank you for the rose, smells so good. Thank you for the rose, smells so good. These are people. Like, that isn't AI. Like, those are real ass people. Like, just think about that, like, walking into someone's kitchen. Thank you for the rose, smells so good. Straight up, what the fuck? Straight up, what? Like, like, and again, no leg to stand on at all with what I'm saying, because I am mental, but there's no way you would catch me on a TikTok live being like, you know, what's another one, like, what else, or like, thank you for the donut, and then like, or like, thank you for the, like, you know, like, what is with, why? Why? But, like, you know what's even crazier? The gifters. Like, this is what I'm saying, like, who's gifting them just to see that? Like, who's watching that going like, oh, make them do it again, like, make her do it again? That's wild. Absolutely wild. It's the same with, like, Elphaba and stuff like that too. Like, she's on TikTok live all day, every day. Like, I genuinely feel like every time I go on TikTok, which is pretty often, she's on it. Like, she's on live and just chatting the same shit. The same shit. They're always talking about the same people. Like, it's the same situations. It's just these fake things. And you know what? Fucking brilliant marketing, by the way. Every second of those TikToker fights, I'm engrossed. Like, I am genuinely, like search in the search bar, what happened between them? Stuff like that. Like, who isn't it? Like, let's be real. Because it's brilliant. Like, it genuinely, like, it gives you something to do. And it's like, what happens next? 110% scripted. Like, genuinely, like, give them a reality TV show. I'm pretty sure they actually did. Like, I'm pretty sure TikTokers have been on a reality TV show now. I didn't watch that because I'm not interested if it's not on TikTok, genuinely. If it's not on, like, a 10-second clip, I'm not watching it. My attention span is shockingly bad. So, like, but yeah, crazy marketing. They're making millions from doing absolutely fuck all apart from fake arguments and fight. So, kudos to them, because marketing geniuses, like, genuinely. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching this episode again. I've had an absolute ball, and I hope you have enjoyed watching. And thank you for the rose. Smells so good. And I hope to see you in the next. I hope to see you in the next week's pod. Thank you.